Yep. As soon as I hit record, Kevin's over here just farting his brains out.
Farting and farting and farting. The thing is, I have to silence all those farts, and I laugh, but it's work. It's fun, but it requires time.
That's what people don't understand is the engineering of getting dog farts out of recordings. You know what I mean?
They don't.
I think we all know the subtleties that went with, just masterful albums like Led Zeppelin 2. They had to get the dog farts out of that album.
Yeah, you always have to get the dog farts out.
That was a big thing.
Yeah. I find that we're very good at getting dog dick into our episodes, and it's very difficult getting dog farts out of the episode.
Oh my god, yeah. God, we can get dog dick in so easily, but dog farts? Looking at the wrong team here.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I know Kevin's cock has made its way into the episodes quite a few times.
Yeah.
Today, I caught him paws up on the fence in the backyard with his his little dog Peen, pressed up against the chain link. The other dog from the other yard was out there just giving it a lick.
Ooh.
Just licking down.
Ooh.
What is that, some strawberry ice cream on a nice July day?
Wow, baby. Wow.
Well, let's do it then, shall we?
All right, hit us up.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Lesser Known People podcast. I am your host, your storyteller for the evening, Mr. KY Jelly. I am joined by just two of my beautiful brothers tonight. I have got Big Cat with me. How you doing tonight, good sir?
I'm feeling beautiful. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling affirmed. Feeling very firm, tense, hard, throbbing. One would say throbbing.
Firm.
One would say definitely throttling. Do you know what I mean? All those verbs. Yeah, definitely. A lot of adjectives going on.
Yeah, throttle.
Mm-hmm. I'm feeling all those. Throttling.
All the words you used are found in every energy drink commercial, so I know you're ready.
What's funny is energy drink or sex. They're apparently in the same market.
Monster, Rockstar, Throttle, which is one. My favorite, Venom.
Venom. Yeah, Venom is Venom. They're not even trying to tell you that they're trying to kill you.
Yeah, they're straight up.
This is Venom. This is Venom. We're killing you with this caffeine. Yeah.
Speaking of Venom, I've got also Mr. J Money. How are you, my beautiful friend?
Good. I don't know why Venom reminded me or you of me.
It's the whiskey drinking the cobra blood that
whiskey
you drank.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
the cobra.
I actually just listened to the episode the other day. I am drinking another whiskey drink with me. I'm 2 whiskey drinks in. Yeah, 1.5. But I'm sure by the time we get done recording tonight, I'll be 4 in and real sloppy.
But 1.5, that's prime start. That's prime start for you. That's right where you get loose. Super warm.
Justin and I enjoy a good whiskey or a bourbon.
Yep.
That's how we do this.
That's true. And because I'm in my 30s, I have a bottle of water on standby.
Ready to go.
That's where we're at, guys. Get the water.
Oh, man. I just realized I don't have my water. Let's pause it. Fuck this. Yeah, so we are down 2 of our other brothers tonight. Mr. Connor is out, and Mr. Sean also out. They had some things come up, and they just couldn't make it tonight. So we miss them dearly, but we're going to press on with the trio.
Sean, we do know, very much joined a sex cult. He's doing that.
Now, you say joined. I think Sean founded is what you wanted.
I'm sorry, you're right. He founded a sex cult, yeah. But that's where he is right now. He lives very free. He's got a sex cult going on. And we do know Connor is off. He is stopping devil worshipping pedophiles. He's on the internet with Q. He's saving the world. Yeah. So yeah. So actually, Sean and Connor might collide at some point this evening. We don't know.
Right.
Yeah, they could, and hopefully we get some audio of that, and we'll just splice it in.
We'll just put it in mid-episode. Yeah. I think that would be pretty good.
Yeah. They'll know. They'll pick it up. We got a smart audience. So now that they're both not here, we could just make up these side stories for them.
We can make up these side stories and tell the crowd where they're going with their lives. Yeah. They will be back. They will be back next week.
They're not gone forever. No,
they're not gone forever. It's just a week excursion for them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, their lives are very entertaining compared to us Saturday night recording a podcast.
Yeah. Welcome to the jungle. Ladies, get in line. Whoa. I have got an excellent person lined up for you guys tonight. I am quite literally freaking jazzed to get into this. it's a twisty turny road for fucking sure. So stop me if you guys have heard of this guy before. Ferdinand Fred Demara.
This sounds familiar.
We'll jump right in. So he was born in Lawrence, Mass. in 1921, and Demara started life fairly well off, given the time. Again, 1921. So his dad worked as a motion picture projectionist, or a projectionist, which I'm sure at the time was a pretty, well-respected vocation. Given
you go to the picture shows.
Yeah, the moving pictures. Hey.
Why are you doing the Christopher Walken voice? Why?
I don't know. It just slips in. Walken just comes into my house.
He's also 300 years old, so he would have been. That is time. that is time sensitive to this. So
yeah, he is time immemorial, is what he is. Our friend Fred Demara. So his dad was a motion picture man. So his family owned a lot of the movie theaters in Lawrence at the time. So his dad was kind of part of the family. So his actually Fred's uncle owned most of the movie theaters in the area at the time. So they were doing pretty well. They lived in a good neighborhood in Lawrence. I don't fucking know where Lawrence is, but if you're from there, fuck off. That probably sucks. So when the Great Depression hit in 29, which, young Freddie's only 8 years old, and it lasts nearly a decade, pretty formative during his life. So hits in 29, and a couple years later, his family has to move from their upper class neighborhood to a much poorer neighborhood, still in Lawrence, but kind of a bit of a fall from grace during pretty developmental time for Mr. Freddie. During this time, he obviously goes to school and all this other jazz, and when he turned 16, before graduating high school, he left, and I'm going to say this wrong, he left home to join the Cistercian? Maybe
Cistercian?
Cistercian, thank you. Cistercian Trappist monks in Rhode Island.
Very famous, sure.
Very famous? I had no fucking clue what that word is.
No, I think that was sarcasm.
Okay, sorry. I was like, are they famous? Because I don't know shit about religion, so maybe.
So Cistercian, like they have water in holes places?
So they are, it's named after some fucking monk, some place or something, but
I'm way off.
They were so Trappist monks, I did in the very base research I did, it is related to Catholicism. They do practice a lot of the things about being a quote unquote monk in a monastery. They give up a lot of their possessions. Whatever, but the fact that there was a monastery in Rhode Island is always odd, and there's actually a lot of kind of crazy backstory with this particular monastery, but I'm sure we could do monasteries in the U.S. and it'd be a fucking wild-ass time.
Are you trying to say that monasteries were not created in the U.S.? Because all religion and all gods were created in the U.S. So
God woke up and he shit out the U.S. of A. That is all I know to be true.
And that's the thing. They all started here.
If you're following the Mormon religion, the Garden of was right there in Missouri, and then went to Indiana, and then in Utah.
This was
Sure.
a joke. I was trying not to name any religion specifically, but we just went there. Yeah, we just went there.
I will.
Oh yeah, there's generically speaking, there's going to be a fair bit of religion in this, and I will say I think we've already kind of set our camps. If you've listened to previous episodes, Justin is a pretty, I'm going to say, a standard Christian guy. Doesn't do any of the wild shit. Doesn't go crazy with it. Just believes what he believes. Usually keeps him to himself. Ryan and I are not so much. All that being said, don't be an asshole with your religion, and I think you're probably fucking fine. That's usually how it goes.
Talking to you, Scientology. Talking to you.
To be fair, if you're an atheist, don't be an asshole about it. Let's be fair.
That's exactly it.
Richard Dawkins, watch your fucking mouth with me.
David Miscavige, I'm going to come to your house and shit inside your mouth.
Oh, I actually
watch yourself.
I thought about doing an episode of David Miscavige.
Anyway, so our friend Freddie, yeah, he at 16 was like, I'm going to be a monk in Rhode Island right now. I will refer to them as Trappist monks. That is how they're referred to, and I can't say the other word, so Trappist it is.
Those are my favorite types of monks, other than the ones that show up in Mortal Kombat. Those are my favorite monks.
Got me. Are they the ones that shout Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, those are the ones in the background, and they're doing this motion with the hand up.
Really violent monks.
Yeah, they are.
They are. They are purely violent monks. I don't know why they actually want to watch. I thought monks were very peaceful, but
not these guys. They're just...
No. So Mortal Kombat monks, and then you got the Trappist monks. So
so he was there for Freddy was with the Trappist monks in Rhode Island for a few short years. After so in a couple of years, we're talking like maybe 3 or 4 years, he was already like teaching and doing some other outreach stuff. Like he was kind of a rising star. So 1941 rolls around, and he got bored with the monks and joined the army. But he did so under a friend's name because he felt like it, and he shortly went AWOL right after joining. We're talking like weeks, months, maybe.
I mean, what a jump from monk, which have to be peaceful, other than the Mortal Kombat monks.
Yeah, they are not peaceful. They were not peaceful.
Peaceful.
They wanted your head ripped off.
Right. To joining the army. I mean, what made him join the monastery to begin with?
There's no indication. So I will say to jump a little bit, he keeps coming back to organized religion over and over again in his story. So he does have some affinity for, I'm going to use Cordy fingers, for the church in some way. He likes that structure for some reason, or the freedom of it, or the structure of it. I'm not sure, but he comes back to it. So he has an affinity, but there's nothing to indicate why that was a first jump at 16.
Yeah.
At 16, yeah.
Could join a monastery at 16.
I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
I think you can.
We'll have to ask those Mortal Kombat monks to see
honestly, the thing is, I will go play a couple hours of Mortal Kombat to see what happens. Yeah.
It's just in the background of the podcast, you just hear Mortal Kombat. Yeah, if you're allowed to drive, you can let Jesus take the wheel. That's how it works.
If you can,
I'm actually really disappointed you guys didn't laugh at that.
But Jesus take the wheel.
I love Carrie Underwood.
Yeah.
Love her.
Loved her. And honestly, Jesus does take the wheel.
All right, so so Freddy, 1941, joins the army under a friend's assumed name, goes AWOL, and I'm talking like same year, like weeks, months, not that long. All right, he then turns around and joins the Navy a week after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, which, for reference, was December 41. So, all in the same year, he has joined 2 branches of the military and gone AWOL on one of them.
That's sick.
So I can only speak. My granddad signed up at 16 for the Navy. I've told this in previous podcasts. And there was like nothing to it. It's like, are you 18? Yes. Okay, come on in. That's fine. That's fine.
That's good.
And then you went through 3 weeks of training before they put you on a ship and you were out there. Yeah. Welcome aboard, sailor. Yeah, here we go.
You got to learn to swim at sea, boy.
In 2005, I was 17 years old and I joined the Marine Corps, and they're like, "Are you going to turn 18 in boot camp?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think so." Like, "Yeah, okay, you're good." So you do 3 months of boot camp, 3 months of infantry training battalion, and then I'm in the fleet, getting ready to go to Iraq.
Yeah. 41, basically, we'll fucking take whoever. My granddad only had stories of like, yeah, there was like 2 guys who were in the brig every week. I mean, they were just, we couldn't control ourselves.
They were basically criminals who love fighting, and there was no one around to fight. So
there was no one around to fight. They were ready to go and fight, the good fight, but no one was there. So let's get drunk, let's get some tattoos, and then let's fight each other.
I mean, not much has changed in the military.
It's weird.
So anyways, my granddad was a lunatic and signed up at 16, and I'm sure Ferdinand was the same way. He was probably a lunatic.
Exactly. Thank you, Ryan. God, excellent transition. Yes. So, so he joined the Navy. He was assigned to the USS Ellis and trained as a medical corpsman.
Oh, sick.
Corpsman.
Sick. Corpsmen are badass, man. I gotta tell you. So in the Marine Corps has no medics. They just have corpsmen.
Yeah, he didn't realize that he was, as his specific corpsman assignment, that he was assigned to an amphibious assault invasion force, and it was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that part.
So he's assigned to Greenside. Greenside is when naval corpsmen leave the Navy to go be a part of the Marine Corps.
Oh. So Freddie didn't love the idea of being part of the assault team and actually having to do a bunch of shit. He wasn't really prepared for that, as was obvious with his initial AWOL from the Army. So he decided, listen, I'm going to make up a fake college degree and get myself out of this. Get myself a little promotion here. So he made up a college degree from Iowa State. Again, he's from Massachusetts. So he made up an Iowa State University degree, transcript, the whole thing. And to make it more believable, he tossed in a letter from the then Kansas State Senator about his character, to speak volumes about his character. From Massachusetts, degrees from Iowa, letter from a Kansas State Senator.
Oh, wow. There's a lot going on there.
To be fair, if you get a letter from a senator, that's always esteemed, no matter where they're from.
It is.
And that's like if you're kind of in the. There is an ongoing theme in our country. If you are of kind of the elite class, should we say? So your family has pedigree. If you get any letters from senators, there's always been a workaround of like, oh, I can get you a letter from so and so, and then it would add to your potential resume and
your gravitas, give you higher credentials. Luckily for the Navy, they smelled horse shit and were like, nah, fuck this. This is bogus. And he goes, oh, okay, that's probably fine. So he tried it a second time with a better transcript and the same letter, and they rejected it a second time because they were like, nope, this doesn't really seem real. So then he, in his own words, temporarily left the service and
went AWOL again. Okay.
He went AWOL again, and he joined a different set of Trappist monks in a monastery near Louisville.
Oh, Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville, Kentucky. We love you. We love you, Louisville. Yeah,
you're out here also with a monastery. I didn't realize there was this many monasteries in the U.S.
Also a monastery apparently in Louisville. That makes no sense.
Louisville. You have to pronounce it all stupid. Louisville. Everyone I met from Louisville, I hated, by the way.
It's such a broad statement.
Yeah, I don't care.
Born, and we're on a podcast with someone who was born in Fort Knox and lived in Louisville, so that should tell you.
That should tell you.
If you're not from Louisville, I love you.
Yeah.
You're not from there.
Instantly backpedals. You guys hear him backpedaling?
Let me just back up what the fuck I just.
It is. To be fair. I'm saying Louisville because that's how I pronounce it, but everyone else is pronouncing it right. So everyone outside of the fucking city pronounces it correctly. I just want to make that known.
I gotta say, I don't have any strong feelings either way. I don't know fuck all about Louisville.
Yeah, me neither. I love them.
Yeah.
If you like what you're hearing, check out Lesser Known People on Spotify, iTunes, Podbay, Owl Tracks, Backtracks, Pocket Cast. Find us on our website, lesserknownpeople.com. Hit us up on our Facebook page, Lesser Known People Podcast. Find us on our Twitter account, which I definitely didn't forget about again, Lesser Known People Podcast at Twitter.
I created the thing and I forgot it happened. Yeah, that's okay.
We're really good at social media.
Instagram. See us on Instagram with the images. Yeah. That's the one with the images. It's cool.
We got the pitches, like the moving pitches, but they're just pitches.
It's a moving picture show on your phone. Yeah. Oh, it's fancy. It's fancy.
Find us on any social media that's free. That's where we're at.
Yeah, where, if you can sign up for free, we're probably there.
We're probably there. Touch us there. Touch our bodies, our virtual bodies.
All right, we've diverted quite a bit. So he's at another monastery in Louisville.
Louisville. We'll pronounce it.
So the interesting thing about this is that this begins to establish a certain pattern for Mr. Freddy, and you will see it immediately. He joins the monastery as Robert French, not as Freddy. Mr. Robert French.
Robert French. Okay. All right, I can be behind that.
Definitely sound. If I heard Robert French as a name, I would think that is made up.
Robert French is a real person, not just Freddy. He's a real person who isn't Freddy. So Robert French, French was a graduate student from the University of Michigan. Oh ho ho! He had his PhD in psychology from Stanford and was a Sterling Fellow from Yale. Now I looked this up. Really quick. A Sterling Fellowship from Yale is only awarded to people who they gave lots of money to Yale.
Okay.
So, like, you have to meet a minimum of like $500,000 donation in 2020 money
God.
to become that. So Robert French is definitely not fucking Freddy by a long shot.
So Robert French is a real person.
Correct.
Okay, but he's just assumed this name.
Right. And so Freddy leaves the Navy, clearly, and he's also AWOL from the Army at this time, still.
AWOL from 2 branches, which is an elite group of people to be in.
Yeah, man, he's just looking for that status, just trying to be interesting. Freddy makes a habit of stealing people's credentials out of college catalogs, which during the time were pretty standard. Colleges would issue these long catalogs about the credentials of faculty, staff, and their like kind of biggest stars, their rising stars, because social media didn't have websites and any of this other shit. So how else do they say how well their university or college is doing with, hey, so-and-so's doing this research, so-and-so has this PhD, so-and-so's doing this master's, she's doing this, he's doing that, whatever. So all Freddie would do is pick up a bunch of these and then just decide who he wanted to become. Which is insane and seems completely implausible, but he presents himself to this monastery as French, and they just kind of accept him wholesale, like, oh, that sounds great. Nobody lies about who they are to a monastery.
Well, why would this guy, Robert French, want to be part of a monastery if he has all these accolades?
Great question. Excellent question. But he basically had to be anyone else but Freddy at the time because he's fucking double AWOL.
Right.
So he's there for it says short time. I assume probably a few months, maybe less than a year. And he's there as Robert French. So he's Big Robbie, he's Bobby the whole time. So still as French, Demara took his services to the clerics of Saint Viator after his short stay with the Trappist monks in Louisville. For a little clarity, the clerics are an order of Catholic teachers who study at DePaul University in Chicago. So he kind of went from like somebody with far too many accolades to be at the Trappist monks monastery in Louisville to then using that to make connections to get, I think, into DePaul to kind of go on this track of being a learned minister who can teach at these parochial colleges. So he, according to the actual records of the university, DePaul University, he actually studied, went to class, and got good grades while there studying for, I don't remember what it is, but it's, religion or some
theology.
Shit.
Theology?
Thank you. Yeah,
theology?
that's probably right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think he did like a semester or two there, but he got good grades, did his shit. In the interview that I read, he basically said that he kept getting good grades no matter what he turned in, and he ascribed it to the fact that, well, I already have my PhD and stuff, so I'm sure they just decided it was good. And like didn't really read it because he's like some of the stuff was kind of shaky.
I mean, if you're a professional con man, which is what he seems like he is, you're probably good at smoozing people. You're probably good at making people like you.
Yeah, and it will turn out he is very good at that for sure. So yeah, he goes to class, he gets good grades, he does what he should in the position at the time. So while in Chicago, oddly enough, he was almost exposed because a group of sailors that he was tied to come off out of the train station, passing him with duffel bags and everything. But he was in his, I'm going to use the term vicar, but it was, the black suit with the collar. He was in that sort of
garb.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't want to say costume. That's obviously inaccurate. He was in that sort of garb, and they just kind of didn't recognize him. But he couldn't have too much of a reaction, or else he would call himself out. But he also couldn't overplay or underplay. So he kind of was just like, I guess I'm just going to... Because he was like parking a car. He was doing something completely mundane. And all of a sudden, here's a group of guys, and he's like, oh, shit. If any of them recognize me, I will probably get my ass kicked in the street and also maybe go to jail.
Hello, sailor. Hello, sailor. Hello, sailor.
Blessings to you. Blessings to you.
Blessings. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your
like
service.
Father.
Yeah.
We're just here to get drunk and get a bunch of pussy, so hush now.
As a Marine who's gone to many a port, I'm not recognizing a single fucking soul in the middle of the street. I'm on my way to the nearest bar. Whole house.
Right. They were going to drop that shit and go straight to where alcohol lives.
Yep.
That's what they were doing.
Yep.
So,
All we
but
did.
still, a scary moment for a con man. And think about this too. Like he has made, since the Navy, he made like 2 big jumps and is already like, he's taking classes for a semester already, you know, or potentially at that point. So he's started over like twice since then. And these guys are seeing him potentially a year and a half later.
All I can say is this was the golden age of the con. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Because your records and everything was so slow moving to ever get caught on anything. You could just go and be 50 different people if you wanted to in every different state.
Exactly.
Quite frankly.
Facebook wasn't there to fuck you up at every step of the way.
There wasn't Facebook. There was no digital trail of any kind. You could just, I'm gonna leave here. You'll never know where I fucking am. Go fuck yourself. I'm gonna be Johnny fucking Appleseed. See ya. Here we go.
It's a great way to put it. The way I heard it put was, it was a great time to walk away from your family. Which is fucking brutal. It is so unkind.
That is brutal.
Yeah,
That's very
dude,
brutal.
I owe my mom $40, and if I could just walk the fuck away from this state right now, I'd be out of here.
So Freddie has the one scare in Chicago. But so he's actually getting pretty far in his priestly studies at DePaul, and I'm trying to use the right words here. And again, I apologize. My lack of education in religious studies is going to be showing here a bit. But so he's getting close to taking his ordination, to be ordained as a priest, as the Viatorian. I always want to say Victorian because it's like just the A and the C are switched, but it's the Viatorian priesthood, and enter the priesthood. And he got essentially cold feet. He thought that if he got ordained, that it would probably cause a little bit too much attention to be called to himself. Because again, he's still there as
because there'd
Robert
be like
French.
a major announcement that he's graduating. Okay.
Exactly. It'd be published. There'd be a lot of people around. Might call too much attention. So it doesn't say how long before, but sometime shortly before his ordination, whoop, disappears. Gone.
I love it. I love this guy.
A man of the wind. He's gone.
He just right into the wind.
But just imagine like doing all that work, because
Yeah.
like being ordained is not just some task you run down on the weekend.
That's exactly right. It's not the Boy Scouts. You are committed to this fucking thing.
Yeah.
You don't just molest your way in there. You got to really work at it.
Woo! That's a timely joke. There's
Hot
a timely joke award,
Hot
baby.
take. Hot take.
Woo!
That's right.
Woo! Keep that one in.
Did you write that prior to this, or was that off the top of
I
your
actually did not. I did not.
That was on the spot.
Nice.
I know. I was going to stay away from the molestation, but he said Boy Scouts, and I had to take it. I had to take it.
That's an easy take.
It was
That's
sitting
The
an
Boy
easy take.
Scouts really fucked themselves. You know what I mean?
They did. They did fuck themselves.
No pun intended.
Yeah,
They
they did.
fuck
There
themselves.
was a little bit
They
of
did.
pun. There was a little bit of pun intended.
I will say, J Money and myself, we were both in the Scouts, and I think for a couple reasons it wasn't a good fit. We were what you would call willful children.
Yes.
And my dad could tell me what to do, and I would listen. But if your dad told me what to do, he can get fucked.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I think that was like one of the first conversations, like being in the Boy Scouts, the first conversations my mom ever had with me about like the advances of older gentlemen. She was like, anyone ever like touch you or ask you to touch them in the Boy Scouts? I'm like, no. They don't even know I'm there half the time. Me and Kyle just run around the woods in the back.
Yeah.
it's like we're building fires, and they're like, no one's molesting us because they can't find us.
Right.
Those were my memories of the Scouts. Was just, why the fuck am I here? This doesn't make any
wasted
sense.
time.
We really fucked up, KY, because if we just would have stuck around, we could have got molested and we'd be fucking cashing in right now.
There's a huge class action lawsuit, fellas.
I know. They're going to take all that popcorn money, that sweet, sweet popcorn money.
Sweet popcorn money they've been selling for years.
You know,
Peddling.
that's actually some bullshit. The Girl Scouts had it good, man. Selling Girl Scout cookies,
Fuck
Samoas. I sell fucking popcorn. You know how hard it is to sell popcorn on the street?
Girl Scout cookies, you know they'll sell each year, and you know they're going to sell in the millions.
Yeah, and Boy Scout popcorn, it was also terrible fucking popcorn. It
Right.
wasn't like, we got some primo shit to sell, some one-off. No, this isn't some artisan bullshit. Somebody has killed 5 kids trying to make this shit popcorn, and it comes stale. It comes stale.
It comes stale. It's exactly, it's beggar dried basically already.
It's the shit they sweep up off the highway when the cornmeal trucks go down on the way.
Fuck yeah. Exactly. God, that's what it tastes like. Oh. Even high, my dad wouldn't eat it. That's bad. That's real bad if he wouldn't eat it high.
The worst Boy Scouts. We were the worst
Oh,
Boy
we were
Scouts.
terrible. We were terrible. Anyway, I don't know if our friend Freddie would have been a good Boy Scout either, but he was certainly in a lot of religious organizations. So
He was.
we'll leave those parallels for other
those
people.
Parallels
to
are
make.
there. They're there. You make up your own journey, listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But so to circle back, so yeah, he just walked out on his ordaining ceremony. Just never did it, right? So now he does a little bit of bouncing. So a year later, Demara shows up in Erie, Pennsylvania, teaching psychology at Gannon College for some reason.
He just shows up without a psychology degree, teaching psychology.
I want to be clear. I'll plug my source right now. I'll plug it again at the end, but I was going to plug it up top. I read Joe McCarthy's life article that he did with Demara in 1952. And Demara was so all over the place with dates and places that he wasn't sure who he was, where, and all this other shit. He's just like, well, you take on all these personalities. I kind of forget the timeline sometimes.
Yeah, well, when Joe McCarthy... Wait, so was this... So if Joe McCarthy's doing his interview, Joe McCarthy was like seeing through his bullshit? Or he was like...
This is after, let's just say, his comeuppance.
Okay.
This is after Freddie's comeuppance. So in the interview, Freddie is being probably as honest with the public in his public eyes at the time of the interview that he has been with himself. So it's supposed to be taken as one of his most honest interviews because it wasn't pretending to be anybody else. It was after the fall from grace that we're going to get to. Obviously, he's got a lot of comeuppance coming just as far as we are now in the story.
Joe McCarthy was like a huge, huge name. It's like being interviewed by like
Barbara Walters
or Larry King.
Very prominent media figure, yeah. It was one of the exclusive stories usually.
His article, honestly, it was awesome. I would say if you can find it online, just Google it online. 1952, Joe McCarthy and Demara, and you'll find it. It's great. So yeah, he shows up in Erie, starts teaching us at this college, presumably still has French at this time, because that's where his credentials are from. He's probably got them in his back pocket for some reason. Next, Demara ends up in L.A., and he's serving as an orderly at a sanitarium.
Wow, weird.
Sure. Sure. Why not? This man goes where he wants.
I guess there's a little bit of a leap there, right? From teaching psychology to working at a sanitarium. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I'll help everyone. He bounces between something to do with health and something to do with religion, education, back and forth. These three kind of arenas he is sliding around in, and it just must be where he feels comfortable. He feels like his bullshit is capable of holding up under scrutiny.
And if you're a con man, you have mastered both of those subjects.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you can just intertwine. Apparently,
it's easy for some people, not for us plebes, but for some people, it's easy.
Yeah.
He got sick of LA, sick of the sun, and he went to Washington State, where he once again used French's credentials to secure a position as a psychology instructor at St. Martin's College near Olympia.
That's like St. Martin's College is like real famous.
Yeah, it's a legit place. I mean, it's a higher end college. It's not a university, so they specialize in this kind of shit. And he walked in with French's credentials, and they were like, "Dope, dude, come on in.
Come on in. We'll take you, man.
Dope,
Welcome to the world of instructing. You're good."
Yeah. You know what's cool about students? Everything's easy, right, Ryan?
Everything's easy with students, bro, including the sex. You know what I mean?
As the only person on this current podcast that does not work in education, I believe that.
Yes, wholeheartedly. You should. Oh my god. Yeah, so he just, for all intents and purposes, he walks in there and was like, "I need a job," and they were like, "Sweet, you got one. Awesome." The Joe McCarthy, when McCarthy kind of pressed him in the interview, they were like, were you nervous to like teach college kids at Gannon and now at St. Martin's College? Like, weren't you like nervous to like that people were going to press you for things and you won't be able to answer or whatever? Ryan, you'll love this. He simply said he just had to stay one chapter ahead of the class. He said it was that easy.
And to be fair, Yes, that is what you need to do. You need to stay one chapter ahead of the class. Sometimes you're in the chapter with the class. Well, what do we know, guys? What do we think of the Great Plague?
What do we know?
What's
I'm gonna put this to the class to answer. How about that? While I quickly skim ahead.
Have you ever been confronted with that, Ryan, where you're teaching something and you're just like, I don't know what comes next?
You always get questions about just very specific items that you're not necessarily like super certain on, but usually you guide the kids enough that there's a reliable outcome you want them to come to.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's always kids who will ask about
some wild ass
something fucking, or like, if you're whatever, some specific subject of like World War I, they'll ask about like the specific, down to the specifics of like the weaponry or something. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know where they were manufactured.
I don't know if they were manufactured.
Find us, Lesser Known People Podcast, on Twitter. We didn't forget Facebook, Instagram. We're out there on podcasts, on Podbay, on iTunes, on Spotify, on 4chan, on Reddit, on
we're not on 4chan.
Parlor.
Don't go to 4chan.
Not on Parlor. Not going to be on Parlor.
I just joined this thing this week, that joke's going nowhere.
Okay.
Anyways, find us on your social media sites.
Yeah, feel free to just Google us. Just fucking Google us.
You can Google us. We got our own website, Lesser Known People.
Give us a shout.
We'd love to hear from you. Maybe we'll cover someone you want us to cover.
That's right. Send us people to do, and we'll do them for you.
We'll definitely do them. Yeah.
We'll do them. I just always make it sexual. God damn it.
This podcast it's like every.
We're bottom feeders.
It's impossibly sexual.
We're a group of 5 white carp, is what we are. We're just sucking that bottom trash.
Very sexual
tilapia.
carp.
We are tilapia.
Yeah, we are sexual tilapia. You're absolutely right about that.
That's our new.
That's
our new
That's
shirt.
the new T-shirt. That's the new shirt. Gotta be sexual tilapia. Just Connor's white face on a fish.
Yes. The skin tone would match.
The skin tone would match. It'd be perfect. Sallow. Anyway, oh my gosh. All right. Demara was teaching in Washington at St. Martin's College. Demara liked Washington, and so he set up shop as French. Thought he'd lay down some roots as Robert French and just become a contributing member of the community. He was so liked by the community in the greater Olympia area that the local sheriff, Frank Tamblin, made Demara a special deputy so that he could enforce law around campus, which I've never fucking heard of before in my life.
I fucking love that.
That's awesome.
It makes no sense.
Oh my god.
I would love to be so well known in my community to be deputized. Despite my felonies, to be deputized to enforce the law.
That'd be the best.
Justin would be the best deputy. Justin would
always have his foot up on something and his hand in his belt. That's how he would enforce the law.
100% of the time. There would be a massive belt buckle with him, no question.
And then that foot would just come up on whatever's nearest.
I find that the higher you have your foot, the more authority you demonstrate.
That's science.
Absolutely. That's 100%. Yeah, that is science.
So Demara's kicking around campus, acting like Johnny fucking Law or something. There aren't any reports of him like being like weird about it, but it's a weird thing to do for the sheriff.
For sure.
We did bring up weird because he did not get handsy with any women or men for that matter.
Yeah. I'll say now, Demara doesn't have any confirmed, there's something I read later on, but confirms allegations of that nature. It's just him being a world-class piece of shit.
You said later on as though he does get handsy, so clearly what I just said is not true.
Yeah. You can't ever count these people out.
He
is a guy.
Especially with this guy, you can't.
Yeah, you really can't. So, in order to pay the sheriff back for his kindness, Demara makes stump speeches on the sheriff's behalf for when the sheriff goes back up for re-election.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how... Okay, so he's going out and just doing these public events for the sheriff then.
Yeah, we just had an election year, and so you see that, so and so for sheriff, so and so for sheriff everywhere, right? These signs, all this bullshit. And I personally don't know anyone who's like really making a big deal about the race for sheriff. I mean, I'm sure it matters for some people, but like wherever the sheriff was scheduled to make a speech, Demara would go first as Robert French, given his credentials, and say, "Hey, isn't Sheriff Tamblyn top tier?"
Sheriff Tamblyn is top tier. Vote for Sheriff Tamblyn if you care about the law, if you care about law and order, if you care about your family.
Safety on your college
campus.
Care
about your safety, care about Christianity. If you care about those, you vote for Sheriff Tamblyn. Sheriff Tamblyn.
Sheriff Tamblyn.
Sheriff Tamblyn. And then it would just be like a commercial of explosions behind him.
Exactly. Fireworks, America, the cross, all the good stuff.
All the things you would associate,
So Demara, as French, is making some speeches for the sheriff. So shortly after the election, this relationship proves a little sour for Demara. One day, the sheriff pops into Demara's office, which he's wont to do. They're pals at this point. He's the fucking special deputy sheriff of bullshit. And he pops into Demara's office with an arrest warrant.
Oh, shit.
You guessed it. The FBI from him going fucking AWOL from the Navy and the Army.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yes.
They've been tracking him despite his dumb alias.
And this is clearly this is when the FBI was much slower than they are now, and that's really slow. So
this is
they'll tag your ass right away.
This is Hoover. This is Hoover era.
This is Hoover era. He is he is dressing like a woman and cracking down on people. Yes. Woo! That's a hot take. We do a lot of hot takes on this one. Anyways.
So the FBI comes a calling, and they give it. I don't know if it still works this way now, but they give it to the sheriff, who is his fucking special buddy. So the sheriff has to take him down to where the FBI is holed up, and they pop him for it. Initially, it was the Navy. They tracked him first because he did enter under his real name in the Navy. Remember, when he deserted from the Army, it was under some fucking friend's name he used. Freddie, he represents himself. He goes through this whole court-martial thing, and actually I don't think it was a formal court-martial. I'm not sure what it was technically called, but anyway, so Freddie would end up serving 1.5 years in a California U.S. disciplinary barracks.
A brig. You went to the brig.
A brig. He was in the brig in San Pedro.
Okay.
For 1.5 years for this. And during this time, unsurprisingly, the Army was like, "Hey, you got some fat shit who deserted you guys? I think that's our guy too. That's weird."
Oh God,
so the Army hit him twice. He got hit twice.
Yeah, so they didn't say that the Army added any time necessarily, or that they were gonna tag him when he got out or any of that stuff. But they discharged him at the same time, and were probably like, "Listen, dude, you did your fucking 1.5 years. Go be a piece of shit out in the world." But yeah, so he's officially discharged from the Army under his other alias, and he's discharged from the Navy after he served his 1.5 years.
Oh my God.
And so begins yet the better part of Demara's story.
Oh, true KY fashion, saving the
Always.
best for the middle.
True KY fashion.
I know. It's the best for the middle.
We're just getting to the best part here, and this is 1 hour and 20 into this story. Here we go.
Here we go. But this shit is good. And this is how it came to my attention. So after he was in the brig for his 1.5 years, he goes back to Lawrence, Mass. to reevaluate. He, using his old trick of looking up fucking college catalogs, this guy, it's all he does, sit around and look at the fucking college catalogs. He picked out Cecil, I think it's Hamann. It's Hamann. So it's Hamann?
Hamann, probably.
Hamann. So Cecil is a biologist at Ashbury College in Kentucky, and he had his master's degree and doctoral degree from Purdue.
I just want everyone to know this story does not make Kentucky look good.
It really doesn't.
You can just be whoever the fuck you want, and apparently Kentucky just accepts you.
Like, I imagine Demara walking up to, like, the same group of people and been like, I'm Cecil. And they're like, wait, aren't you Robert? Nope, I'm Cecil. And they're like, welcome, Cecil.
Welcome, Cecil. How you doing? I'm out here growing tobacco, making bourbon. Let's do it. I'm fixing to get me some.
You know what's a good business? Baseball bats. Hell yeah. A whole mess of baseball. You know how many trees I got in my yard? God damn, that's a lot of baseball bats.
We're calling Louisville sluggers.
Because that's what we do out here. We like a slugger.
Slogers.
Now that we've isolated an entire state, so Demara becomes Cecil Heyman, and somehow, and this is actually proves to Demara's not genius, but his go-gettedness. He managed to get copies of Heyman's college transcripts and his birth certificate.
Smart.
And he didn't tell Joe McCarthy how he did it. He didn't tell anybody how he ever managed to do this stuff. He hints at the fact that it's just a lot of fucking letter writing. He's just reaching out to colleges saying, "My fucking house burned down," and they end up feeling bad.
So they essentially baiting them into doing reprints of his stuff.
Exactly, and he would use them as official, and no one would be the wiser because he's a con man and thought he was straight up.
This was, again, heyday of the con man. You can get away with fucking whatever.
It is, yeah, and you could move a state, move a city, and be somebody else. I mean, fucking hell, he was a special deputy sheriff for some asshole in Washington.
Yeah.
After being a deserter in 2 different branches of the military. I mean, fucking nuts.
Anyways, he moved back to Kentucky, who apparently gets spoofed by fucking everything. And he's Cecil Hammond.
Yeah, so he's Cecil. And as Cecil, he's still East Coast. But Cecil is based back in Kentucky, and he just takes all his shit on paper, his paper shit. So Demara, as Cecil, enrolls in night law school at Northeastern University in Boston, but Cecil has he's like a fucking biologist. So why would he want to go to night law school? Like
a biologist out of Kentucky, right? Kentucky must be like this black hole for the FBI. I'm going to start running my VPNs through Kentucky.
Yeah. We should run all of our businesses through Kentucky. They don't check shit, apparently.
Yeah, they're going to be like, you know what? We'll never find it. Can't find it. So, yeah, he enrolls in night law school at Northeastern in Boston and gets bored after about a year and enters the seminary of the Brothers of Christian Instruction in Alfred, Maine.
I feel like these monasteries and cemetery schools are the only people that just don't bother checking his background.
They don't check dick. I don't know what they're doing.
There's no background with them. If you're a seminary, you own no public records whatsoever. You don't even bother.
And you're not interested.
Come join us.
You want to fight for the Lord? Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Everybody's welcome. But to their credit, in a small way, somebody is showing up to them who to them looks like or sounds like a very interesting get. Because maybe they are getting some people on the fringes who have found Christ and they want to do good in the world and stuff, but maybe their qualifications aren't so great. And so he's walking in as being like, I've got my doctorate in biological bibbidi bops. And they're like, holy fuck, you're like a real person out here. Okay, shit. Yeah, we'll take you, brother. Come on in.
Biological, you're going to talk about when Jesus made the world.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to talk about.
Because it took 7 damn days, not 250 million years.
They were here. Yeah, Adam and Eve were made.
Adam and Eve. That's the only biology I need. All right, Adam.
Is that the
Eve.
Biology you were educated in, Mr. Kentucky?
Kentucky. Yeah, these guys are in Maine, so they're just screaming about lobsters the whole time. So yeah, he fucking signs up with the brothers, and Alfred, Maine it's just south of Portland, I think. So I don't know. It's not that far into Maine. Meaning it's not that far. He didn't go fucking million miles north or anything like that. So Demara, humble as always, claimed to have gone to the brothers because a man of his certain talents was needed, and they needed his help because he was so good at what he, quote unquote, does. This is what he told fucking Joe McCarthy. He's like, listen, these guys need a lot of help, and I was the man to give it to them.
What help did they need exactly?
A great question. So he helped their brothers secure a college charter for their seminary.
Smart. Of course he does. Yeah, he actually probably does know about that.
Exactly. The brothers, for a little bit of background, they supply teachers to parochial schools in the Northeast, and usually fairly decent schools. It's usually high schools from what I could figure, but still, they're needed, they're paid, but they would have to send out their brothers to other colleges to get trained. And so if they could secure themselves a college charter. They could train them there, teach them there, make some money, and then, appear a little more qualified. Because Demara presented himself as Haman with all these degrees, the brothers really rolled out the red carpet for him. He made the paper. There's newspaper articles of him becoming a brother. They never did that for anybody else because he was some big fucking hotshot. He had the shit credentials.
Or who they thought.
Because he's also done it 3 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here's a weird little side quest.
What do you know? What age he would be at this point?
He is. So they don't reference dates and years as much as I wish they did. Every source I could find really was fairly loose. So he was about 30 at this time.
Oh my God! So you're 30, entering the seminary. Wow. Okay.
But your fourth one.
Your fourth one. Yeah. So he's a pro at this point. They must have looked at him like, this is a man of Christ.
Yeah, he's already been ordained 5 times. I mean, yeah, he can't stop doing it. What's so funny is because the brothers are education based, as one of the higher brothers, because he had his doctorate in biology or some nonsense that he lied about that was actually Cecil's. Oddly enough, the real Cecil and brother Demara, as Cecil, they were at the same educational conference in Chicago, and they kind of ran into each other. And this is Demara's side. Cecil has no kind of dog in this fight, but he said that he was waiting at reception with one of his brothers, and they were kind of chatting or whatever, and he could hear in front of him somebody said, "Do you have any mail for Cecil Haman, room such and such?" And he was registered as, he took a brother name, as they do, so he was registered as Brother John or something, and so everyone he was there with had been calling him Brother John for a long time, and so they maybe didn't really remember what exactly his name was, or they weren't used to referring to him as that. So when he heard it, he started just talking louder in hopes that if the guy said his name again, that they wouldn't hear it, and nothing ever happened. He never got caught, but it was another kind of close call. He was like, yeah, I was at the same fucking hotel as that guy for that same conference in Chicago.
Oh, God.
If nothing else from living this crazy-ass life, it'd be a lot of fun to recount all the close calls that you've had. Which I guess during that interview with Joe McCarthy, it probably was something like that.
Yeah, so I'm actually I follow the article pretty closely. If any listeners are they read it before or after this or anything, or have read it, and I am skipping a lot of the self-congratulatory humbleness that Demara tends to kick out during his storytelling, as you could imagine. He's like, "Oh yeah, I really helped those guys out. They were in desperate straits, but they needed a guy like me. So I come in, I get things done. They needed me to do stuff, I just do stuff, and I got all these credentials, so they trust me." And it's like, you fucking lied. You're kind of a piece of shit, and you're in a house of God too, and that's icky. Well, it's extra icky.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Let me play devil's advocate here. Piece of shit or not, did he could he have done good things for these guys?
And that's what we're gonna get to.
Oh, it has been foretold.
Oh yes, 'twas foretold.
J Money the prophet.
The prophet. So another part about this, he had another kind of run-in with Cecil, and this is the last kind of thing I'll say about their little relationship. He made the paper as being admitted as a brother into the Brotherhood, right? That was some sort of Maine paper or maybe a Northeastern paper, something like that, right? Well, the real Cecil, who's in Kentucky, he had colleagues in Boston. They sent him something in a box, and they packed it with newspaper from the Northeast. And he got it, and he actually wrote a letter to someone saying, "Hey, this guy has my exact name and my credentials, and he's in Alfred, Maine, joining the Brotherhood, saying he gave up his world of education and science to become a brother. I should probably do something about this." But he never did. So he kind of knew about it.
So he just left it, basically.
But,
wow.
But that's so crazy, though.
That's crazy.
What are the astronomical circumstances that have to take place for those things to align, that these guys would take newspaper from southern Maine and pack it into a box and send it to this guy? That's insane to me. In my opinion, that's proof of God going, you know what? Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy in Maine.
Okay, so let's just say there is a God. It's this guy has had a lot of close calls. Let's really try to bury him. Still nothing.
Let's just every possible opportunity. Let's see if we can bury this asshole.
I do ascribe to God, and I just imagine God up there going, I've been trying to screw this guy for years. and nothing seems to work. He doesn't fall in any of my traps. Any of my traps.
None of it. None of it. So yeah, and Cecil did confirm that story is true. That he received it. He knew about it. There's evidence. He wrote a letter to his colleague, and he didn't take action. So his relationship with the brothers is important for his downfall. So Demara gets sent, and again, he's still as Cecil at this point. He gets sent by the Brotherhood to New Brunswick, Canada, to study theology with some older brother there, right? Because he's trying to keep bumping himself up in the ranks, blah, blah, blah. So he gets sent to New Brunswick. It was at this time that Demara met Dr. Joseph Sear. C-Y-R. Dr. Joseph Sear. So Demara spent a lot of time with Sear because the older brother that he was learning from had really bad rheumatoid arthritis, and Dr. Sear was treating him for this. So they spent a lot of time together in his treatments and all this other stuff, and they're bullshitting. And because Demara was posing as Cecil, he was saying that he had his background in science and that he had his doctorate in biology, and so they had a lot in common. And at some point, Dr. Joseph Sear thought that, or Demara has said that he actually practiced medicine, which I don't have any evidence of that he actually did in anywhere. But Sear was under the impression that Cecil, as Demara, or Demara as Cecil, had practiced medicine. Either way, they develop a fairly cordial relationship as peers.
Practice medicine, and your credentials are, I have a biology degree. And you know what? Honestly, I've seen what you have with your elbow. I've seen the same thing on a horseshoe crab. I've seen it before.
So some things happen during this time. So Demara, I think, is back and forth from New Brunswick to Maine and all this other shit, right? And they get their charter approved thanks to him. So to your point, Justin, when he got them started on their charter path and used his connections and his go-gettedness to get it done, they got the charter, and it is now a college. It's still a college.
Really?
So he helped found a college that's still in existence today.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's Walsh College. It moved. It's no longer in Maine, actually. I think it's in Ohio or somewhere, but it is still, he helped found that. So he was there at the founding of the college, which is crazy. This is what happened, though. When they begin the college, quote unquote, year one of the college, they want to elect somebody to run it, be the president or whatever the title was at the time. He thought it was going to be him because he was such a pivotal member, and they gave it to somebody else. So he did what every good con man does when he doesn't get his way, and he fucked right off out of there. Boom, gone.
So he was so mad that his false identity wasn't good enough for that he just kicked rocks. He just blew wind. He was out of there.
And you know what? It actually gave me a lot of confidence to quit my own job. I was like, if this guy can make up everything about his past, be there for a few months and get some things done, and then just be pissed off they don't give him a gold star for it.
It was a different time. You can just be apparently whoever the fuck you want to be. Oh, you're not going to give me president? Fuck you, you're fat. I'm out of here. I'm done.
You know what? To his credit, I was sick of my job, and I was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'll make my own company that rivals yours.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. And you know what? When you don't get your special gold star that you're supposed to get, you throw a fit and you fucking steal one of their cars and you drive to Boston, because that's exactly what he did.
He stole
one of their cars.
Car?
He did. He did. He freaking pieced out one of the cars. He probably like, I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes. Drove to Boston. This is where it gets shockingly even more interesting. Steals a car, drives to Boston, doubles back by bus to New Brunswick. Why would he go back to New Brunswick, you ask?
Yeah, I do ask.
Yeah, that is why I'm
In New Brunswick, Demara presented himself to the Royal Canadian Navy as Dr. Joseph Sear.
Oh
shit.
So he had just developed that friendly relationship with that guy, and he actually, through some kind of odd means, he had his credentials somehow. Demara claims that he gave them to him to help him out to get certified in the U.S., so he could practice medicine in the U.S. at Sear's permission. Sear claims not. But he had him. So he had the basis of what the Navy needed to consider him a practicing doctor. So he shows up to the Royal Canadian Navy and was like, I'm Dr. Joseph Sear. I want to help out. I just want to join up. And, shit's still pretty hot. We're talking like I don't know, what is it, 50s probably at this point, late 40s, 50s. And this'll help. I'm sure Ryan and Justin, you guys can correct me. So in a process that usually takes at least 10 weeks with fingerprinting, physicals, all this other shit, checking all his credentials, especially at his level.
Now, definitely, yeah. But back then, you could just join on.
Well, and
whatever.
he's joining during a time of need, especially a time of need for medical doctors. So he was approved, processed, and out the door in less than a week.
Holy shit.
baby.
Yes. So they did no background check. They never fingerprinted him. He says, and I quote from the article, they didn't even take his fingerprints, and I passed the physical exam without taking my clothes off.
Drop to the floor, give me a push-up. Wow, that was the best push-up I've ever seen. You're out of here.
He did 100 in 1 minute. Perfect health. There we go.
Perfect health.
Yeah. So they fast-tracked his ass because they needed him on chips, like right now. And he's
High priority MLS, maybe.
Exactly.
They got it.
And he told him, he's like, if you guys don't take me right now, I'm just going to go to the Army and they can have me. And they were like, fuck it, we'll take you right now. He was in New Brunswick. They kicked him to Halifax like right away, which, for more about Halifax, listen to our Hitchbot episode.
Handjob bot! Handjob bot! Handjob bot!
Just listened to Handjob Bot the other day in my truck, and it was a superb episode.
Another KY classic.
Yeah,
That
KY
was a
classic.
KY classic.
Yeah.
That was
That I
definitely a
tried
KY
to quit
classic.
midway through.
I was going to bring it up.
Forget about the fact that everyone was trying to hijack that episode, but goddamn, that is a KY classic, baby.
If you wanna listen to the Hitchbot episode, hit us up on Spotify, on iTunes, find us on our website, lesserknownpeople.com, our Facebook page, our Twitter page, which we definitely didn't forget about, and anywhere you can stream podcasts, you can find us.
Instagram with the pictures, we're there.
Yeah.
And we got a backlog of episodes at this point, so there's going to be something in there that you find interesting or check out. Like, I'm serious. There's some good stuff. Justin does a great job writing up some of the blog posts and synopsis about it on the website, so check that stuff out. It's really fun. You'll find something you like. Dr. Demara is now a fucking navalman in the Royal Canadian Navy. I don't want to get it wrong. I don't want to get any hate mail from Canadians. I'm sure it'd be very polite, but I don't want
So
to.
he did go from American sailor to Canadian officer in the Navy.
So Demara enters the Royal Canadian Navy as Surgeon Lieutenant.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he is straight up that fucking food chain. Yes, he is. After a couple months in Halifax, where he just does like sick-bay stuff, I think they were actually probably just trying to figure him out, where to put him, what ship was going to be, and all that other kind of stuff. He sailed off to the Korean theater of war.
Yeah,
where they
I was
dumped him.
going to say Korea was going out at that
Yeah,
time.
Korea, it would have been right in that time, yeah.
And every time there's a war, America's in, the Canadians are in. Oh,
That's
what
right.
what are you doing down there? We're going to war. Can I come? Sure can.
Yeah. All right, pack your bags. We'll wait. We'll wait. Pack your bag. Come on, buddy. Yeah. So Demara he's entered as a surgeon lieutenant, and he sailed off to the Korean theater of war aboard the, I'm gonna say, Cayuga, and all I can think of is the sound an old car horn makes.
Cayuga.
That's what they do. They name it after old horns on old cars. That is specifically off of a El Camino. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Some guy's fucking El Camino. Yeah, so Demara claims that while on the way, they left Halifax and they're sailing to Korea, which I'm sure takes a long fucking time. I don't know. So the commander, like fucking day 2, comes up to him and was like, "Hey, you're the new doc? I need a tooth pulled." And he was like, "Oh, sure. Why don't you wait? Give me till tomorrow morning. I think I can squeeze you in." So Demara stays up all night reading medical journals about how to remove the tooth.
I mean, that's kind of like a different thing, though. That's orthodontistry.
It is. It's not in his wheelhouse, I guess. Yeah. You're not general medicine. Yeah.
Right. But he did the con man role, right? He put him off, and then he came back, and he removed the tooth flawlessly. He shot him full of Novocaine in the right place. He got rid of the tooth, and it never got infected.
So
He did it
fuck.
perfectly.
So anyone can be a dentist.
So that's the moral of the story.
Sounds like.
We're all dentists, I guess. We're all dentists.
Anyway, yeah. So, Demara pulled that tooth and pulled it off. So he had the commander in his back pocket, like fucking day 2. Was like, "Thanks, bro. Cool story." Demara performed mostly routine procedures during the whole time. Like, people come in sick, XYZ, tonsils, that kind of shit. But one day, shit got fucking real. So the Cayuga was bombarded from the Korean shore, and 3 wounded South Korean soldiers were brought aboard for serious injuries. One of the men had a bullet in his chest, and he was like, fuck. This is about to go down. This is about to
happen. This
is about to be real.
This is an extreme injury here, yeah.
Yeah, and so according to him, full disclosure there, according to Demara, they didn't really have like an OR on the ship, and I'm sure they didn't have like an actual OR on the ship, but they didn't really have anywhere to really do anything, so they basically cleared off the table, slapped this poor bastard on there, and he's bleeding everywhere, and they're like, time to party, let's do this. He had like one assistant who was basically like he wasn't even nurse level, like he was like medical assistant.
Yeah, he was like a tech.
Yeah, he could hold the fucking flashlight. It's like if your dad's working on the car and you hold the flashlight, that's your job. That's him.
Well,
he's ready to go.
To be honest, man, like as far as like combat medical treatment goes, Demara probably has as much knowledge as the guys who would like work on me in combat. I know, like Ryan, your dad probably had a hell of a lot more training than that. For us, like I know we got blown up real bad one time, and it was just like some guy. So many of us came in there like bleeding out of our noses and our ears. And he was like, I don't know what to do. And we're just like, we don't really care if you do anything. We would just like some medicine, please.
Yeah. I need treatment of some kind here. Yeah.
Yeah, I need something. So Demara's like, fuck. The stakes just got super high, right? This guy's bleeding out of his chest. It seems to be near his heart. He does what any good bullshit artist does and just cuts that fucker open and takes the bullet out and saves the guy's life.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, so
we gotta dive in somewhere. Here we go. Give me the knife, guys. I got the scalpel. Let's go.
So I will say, if anyone is interested, that part of the article is particularly interesting. The one with life in Joe McCarthy. It's so like someone trying to just logic themselves through a horrible situation for which they are looked by the whole ship as, you're responsible for this. You do this now.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, everybody was sitting there watching me, and I couldn't not do anything because I'm the only doctor on board, heavy quotey fingers. And his rationale was, the less I cut him, the less I have to do stitches, because he had no confidence in his ability to do stitches. He had no idea how. So He was like, if I just cut less, then I'll have to stitch less later, and we'll try that. And so he said he kind of just like cut a little bit, opened it up enough. He just like stuck, probably long tweezers or whatever down there, felt what he thought was the bullet, pulled it out, and he said he could see the guy's heart beating. The bullet was really, really close to the guy's heart.
Oh.
And him and the guy got super lucky that he plucked it out, stitched him up, gave him a shit ton of penicillin. The guy was fine. He survived.
So he did, as much of a bullshit artist as he was saving a lot.
Yeah.
He was saving people. Yeah. The irony here is he was actually saving people.
He really, really did. I
don't know if that speaks to his level of intellect or speaks to the level of military medicine at the time.
You're just above Civil War level medicine and just below by like 1,000 of modern medicine. Yeah.
Right. It's like we've gotten rid of the limb saws, but we don't have good medicine yet.
We don't have good
right in there.
Medicine. We're kind of right in the category there.
So yeah, he straight up saved the guy, and he helped the other guys too, kind of stitched them up, made sure they're okay. They fucked off back to South Korea, and he was like, I'm a hero? But there is so full credit to his time aboard the Cayuga, which I'm sure means something very personal and real. They don't name ships for no reason. So hey, hit us up on our bullshit and tell us what Cayuga means.
Show us that Canada does not name their ships after sounds, please.
Yeah, we know that much. Yeah, so there's a ton of accounts from soldiers and people aboard the ship and the other sort of South Korean people in the theater that he helped. Everyone said that he was great. He was very personable. He helped anyone he could. He got a lot of high marks from everybody on there. Super well liked. I mean, he fit right fucking in. And for the level of medicine that he was responsible for, he was actually fairly adequate at doing.
Yeah, I mean, a general medical officer. Are you kidding? Yeah, you do basically fucking everything.
Now, had they put him in a hospital, had they put him in somewhere real with like real surgery and like the really complicated stuff, I'm sure he would have faltered, and this it seems kind of would have came apart a lot sooner. I say sooner. But given that it was wartime, he's looking to literally stabilize, and then they're shipping him off. He was good enough for that, for sure. I mean, he had a little bit of training as a corpsman way back in his naval days, but that kind of saw him through. The PR guy, I don't remember what he's called, who is a naval officer, Royal Canadian Naval PR guy. I don't fucking know how you get that job.
Civil affairs.
There you go. He gets wind of this. He's aboard the Cayuga, and he gets wind of this doctor saving these South Korean guys, doing a great job. And then he had a couple other things that he was known to do, which is every time they were at port, he would go ashore and try to find people that he helped, and like sort of like follow up with them like a regular doctor would do, which was totally weird, and no other medical officers at the time were doing that. And so he was like, he's amazing. And in reality, he didn't know the job. So he thought he kind of had to do it. But again, it was nice. I'm not going to take that away from him. The PR guy was like, fuck yeah, man, I'm going to put something out on the wire about this, and it'll be good. It'll be good PR for the Royal Navy, and we're out here doing good. We're helping the South Koreans and stuff. So that fucked him over big time, hugely. Yeah.
He is not that doctor.
He is not that guy. And that guy still exists in Canada. And so it hits the wire. The press picks it up, and the real Dr. Sear comes forward. And he's like, that's not fucking me.
I've been in Canada living a fucking dream. Yeah. I don't know who the fuck this is.
And according to Demara, he tried to undersell his interview with the PR guy so that he was like, maybe they'll get buried. Maybe it just won't become a thing. And it went everywhere.
They're like, oh, modest doctor saves a life.
Saves hundreds of lives in his time at war.
Oh, I really don't want any recognition. Honestly, don't even use my name. Don't even use my name. Just, I saved people.
Call me the doc, keep it real generic.
We were cool. Just call me doc. Don't use my name or credentials or anything, ever.
But no, a couple weeks after the story broke, because of the time, it took a couple weeks, Demara was found out. Basically, his story of it is that his commander kind of found out the first go around and was like, listen, Dr. Sear, this shit's all made up. This guy out in New Brunswick, he's fucking crazy. No one believes him. You're the guy. And then a few days go by, and he's like, "Back your shit." So he's found out. Basically the Canadians know it. The story kind of gets out in the public that he's this big faker, and it gets out everywhere. Like the U.S. picks it up. It's huge news at the time. That this guy is out saving people, participating, and all this other shit, and he's not fucking real. He stole somebody else's identity. He is the great imposter. So the Canadians do the most Canadian thing that you can think of. They, after much investigation, they kind of walk back through who this guy was. They found out that he was Cecil before, that he was a brother before. They finally found out that he's actually Demara after a fingerprint thing. And they give him his salary due for being a physician and kindly ask him to leave Canada. And that's it.
That is the most Canadian punishment I've ever heard of.
Oh my god.
That's it. So that was all his comeuppance, and he was extremely publicly embarrassed, though. I cannot emphasize that enough. So yeah, so they paid him. There was no charges waiting for him in the U.S. because I don't think he did anything illegal on the U.S. side.
It was all Canadian.
Well, he did spend his time in prison or in the disciplinary barracks.
Exactly.
You had actual Cecil who never pressed charges.
Right, and he was masquerading as a brother under false pretenses, but he didn't practice medicine. He didn't do anything else. He just kind of lied about who he was. So there was no charges waiting for him, and that was kind of the end of his big story. So after that, he did work under imposed names. He did falsify who he was a couple different times, but basically the story was so big that he lied about who he was to get a job as a prison guard, and somebody recognized him from the paper, and he had to quit.
Sure. Yeah.
So they were. Yeah. Well, I mean, imagine being like, oh, hey, Larry, good to see you. This is Bob. He's new. And Bob's like, hey, Larry, "Are you that guy, Fred Demara, who lied about who he was to get a job?" And they were like, "Fuck, he lied to us and got the job. Damn it, he does this all the time. He's the
He does this
guy
all the time. He does this all the time.
all the time."
It's always in Kentucky, too. God damn it. We're out here. He's working as a prison guard with us out here. Jesus.
Yeah, freaking Freddie does.
I was going to ask, was this in Kentucky? Was he a prison guard in Kentucky?
Freddie fucked us again, damn it.
That's the next shirt. Freddie fucked us again. It's just him Groucho Marxing his way across. I don't think it was in Kentucky that he was a prison guard. I think it was in the Northeast. But yeah, basically he became too recognizable to be an imposter anymore. So he did a small stint on a super small time game show. Never heard of it. He actually did go on to become a minister on the West Coast under his real name as Frank Demara.
Oh, good.
Or, excuse me,
Why?
Fred Demara.
Would they? What? Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't know why they would. And in 1960, the film The Great Imposter, starring Tony Curtis, was made about his life.
Wow. Okay.
And our friend Freddie died on the West Coast in 1982.
Just living out his. You know what? I'm not even mad at the guy, to be honest.
No.
I think it's
he
kind
did.
of cool.
He saved
man.
some Canadians. He saved some Koreans.
I knew that
quite
Justin
frankly.
would love this guy.
I like him. I like him. You know what? Because he stole some identities. Big deal. You know what I mean? He didn't take out credit cards or tarnish these other people's lives. He just kind of used their lives to help his along. You know what I mean? And you know what? I think he did some good along the way.
He did, and he inspired some people. Definitely. If you hear this story, you're inspired. I can be a biology, a brother, and a doctor, and a prison guard.
All in like
and
10
a
years.
sailor, and a soldier, and
A toy maker.
a toy maker.
What's it? Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Yeah.
1,000 items. Yeah, 1,000 items here.
I don't know why was it OSS then or the CIA developed after that. I don't know why these guys didn't pick him up. He could be anyone who wanted to be.
Yeah.
So
that's
one
true.
one of his biggest criticisms, and he died of a major heart failure or some nonsense, but it was complications from diabetes. This guy was 6 foot, 350 pounds.
Oh,
So how would you not fucking recognize that?
I don't know. In all of his pictures, this guy has minimum 2 chins, and I'm not even throwing that much shade. I mean, I got 2 chins, but it's you don't remember this guy, but he's not so blendable into everybody.
No, there's minimal blend with this man.
Exactly. He honest to God, he looks like a football player. He does. He said that he was on his high school varsity football team when he was 14 because he grew big.
He's
He's
just
a big dude.
big guy, yeah.
Just a big dude. He's got a thick ass neck. But yeah, this huge gregarious guy. No one can put a finger on the pulse of this guy for some reason. But I actually kind of agree. At first, I was like, dude, this guy's a piece of shit. This is going to be a great episode. We're just going to be able to cream him the whole time. And I'm like, he saved that guy's life. He helped found that fucking college that still exists for a seminary. I mean, they're doing good work still.
Sure.
He didn't, to Justin's point, he didn't super tarnish these people's credentials. He certainly took them for his own gains, but
I do love how he ended basically on a game show. That really is the
cherry on top.
Nice little cheese that goes on top of this. Yeah, that's insane.
If anything, he exposed how easy it was to steal identities back in the day. In a time where stealing identities really wasn't a huge thing.
It shows you that you could get away with basically anything. That was the heyday of being a fucking con man.
But
I
feel like with all the energy and intellect he put into assuming these other identities, he could have just been himself and gone
and
places.
done them.
Yeah. So the end of the Joe McCarthy article, he says that he, once he gets booted out of the Royal Navy for being a piece of shit, he goes back to freaking Lawrence, Mass, where his parents still live in the same house. And they were like, what are you going to do next? And he was like, well, my folks have offered to send me to medical school so I could be a real doctor, but I don't want to take the time and I don't want to burden them, so I don't really know what's next. And then he fizzled. He really fizzled after that. But he had everything he needed to become a professional in either the seminary or medicine or education. He clearly liked those three things.
But
Yeah.
but I do actually love the concept though. Like he was not tethered to a career path or a choice. You know what I mean? Like he could be whoever the fuck he wanted to be, and that's kind of what I really like about him. I think about like myself. Like I'm an ex-military guy that's now partially owns a construction company and does podcasts on the side. Like if I could just wake up tomorrow and just be someone else if I wanted to be, I might fucking do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone, what's really grabbing about this story is everyone has that inclination to be like, I've set on a path, it's taken so much time and so much effort and so much money to get to where I am now. Even if it doesn't feel like you've gotten very far, you've still put all this investment into your energy. If you could say in 6 months, literally be a doctorate of biology in some fucking Kentucky college, and people believed you, why wouldn't you do it? Who cares? Yeah. And the consequence is to just 6 months from then be somebody completely different if it blows up in your face.
There is something very, very intriguing about the mobility of this individual in this story. Yeah.
Yeah, there was
no question about that.
I think KY said it on another episode, but there are some wheels on this guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, do we got a summation here?
Yeah, I can try to summate what I can remember.
Yeah, give it a shot, man. Good luck to you, because it's a mess.
Yeah, all right. So I think Kyle referred to him as Freddy. He has a million fucking names. Starts off at the age of 16, joins a brotherhood, a monastery, Cistercian Trappist monks. Am I correct in that? Okay, no notes.
Yes, sir.
No notes. I'm surprised I remember that 3 drinks in. From there, he joins the army, immediately goes AWOL, which I get. As someone who spent 10 years in the Marine Corps, I get that. I just never had the balls to run away.
He paid for it later.
He paid for it later. Shortly after that, that's another monastery after that, right?
No, he joins the Navy, and then he joins a second monastery.
Okay, all right. So Pearl Harbor happens. He joins the Navy, goes AWOL from there, back to another monastery in Louisville. I'm sorry, Ryan. I don't mean to insult you.
It's cool. I don't like him either. That's fine.
No loyalty.
From that monastery, help me out, KY. Where does he go after that?
He pretends that's when he becomes Robert French.
Robert French. Yes,
with all his credentials, and he starts. He goes after his vicarship or his ordination through DePaul.
He goes to get ordained through Nepal. DePaul.
Nepal?
Yeah. He goes all the way to Mount Everest.
Yeah. God, those monks are fucking wild, man.
Yeah, they are.
They're crazy. They're crazy.
I was going to tell a story about the Nepalese army that I had to deal with at one point, but never mind.
Yeah. Stay in the summation, yeah.
We'll stay in summation mode. I'm drawing a blank here. After DePaul, he goes either to Southern Maine or to St. Martin's.
So he does. He doesn't get ordained, and that's when he does the quick skip to Erie, PA. Then he's out in L.A. and then he's out in Washington. Yeah.
So he goes to PA, and he's teaching psychology. Dips out real quick to a sanitarium in L.A. Dips out of there real quick, goes up to St. Martin's up in Washington. From there, then he makes his way up to the Northeast. This guy's hard to track, man.
So this is when he becomes fucking fake sheriff plastic badge. Then the AWOLs catch up with him real quick. And so he does a tight year and a half down in San Pedro.
That's something, you know what, honestly, he underplayed the year and a half on his resume. It was kind of like,
he did.
I've been a page, I've been a brother, I've been a biologist, I've been, and a year and a half
quick year and
the
a
other
half.
thing was, yeah.
It was a sabbatical.
A sabbatical. It was a year and a half sabbatical behind bars.
Yeah.
Took a sabbatical at the disciplinary barracks, the Brig, federal prison, just so we're clear. Then he goes to the Northeast.
Yes. Then he's in the Northeast.
Okay,
yeah.
we finally made him to the Northeast.
Yeah.
Goes to the Northeast. He's screaming about the Lord and the lobsters up in the Northeast.
That's Justin's only note. Lord, lobsters, Northeast.
Lord and the
Ford
lobsters.
founds a college, founds a seminary school.
Yeah, he helps him found a college. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. He does. He helps found a college, which is the first of his good deeds to mankind.
Mm-hmm.
From there, he makes his way up to the Royal Navy, Canadian Royal Navy.
Yeah, and he steals Dr. Sears' credentials.
He steals Dr. Seal's identity, goes up to the Royal Naval, the Canadian Royal Navy as a doctor. Canadians don't give a fuck about his background check. They let him straight in.
They just, Welcome aboard! Welcome aboard, young man.
Finds himself floating around the Sea of China, I'm assuming. The Korean conflict's going on. Some South Koreans come on board with bullets in the chest. Saves their lives with no medical experience. And that's so popular among the civil affairs folks and the Canadian military that they publish an article about it. Gets his name out there, which he didn't want, and that ultimately burns him.
That's right.
And then he goes back home to his parents' house, and they're willing to pay his way through medical school. He don't want to do it. Assumes another identity here and there.
Super quick, just a little bit here and there, but then he became too famous to be an imposter.
Right.
It does feel like at that point he just needed to assume an identity to feel the rush again of what
I think
it was
so.
like. You know what I mean? It was more like, you're right, you guys got me. I just need the rush again of being someone else.
It's like when Winona Ryder got caught shoplifting.
It is. That's exactly right. I was just about to say Winona Ryder shoplifting. That's what I had written down here.
I remember like seeing Winona Ryder in the news syndicates kind of bashing her for stealing shit. But then I think about her in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I don't care that she stole some shit. I love you, Winona.
She's
Ryder.
great.
We
love you, Winona. We love you, Winona. Come on sometime. Lesser known people.
Please take your meds.
Please take your meds, but also come on to Lesser Known People Podcast. And Lesser Known People Podcast, you can find us on lesserknownpeoplepodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram, a Twitter page that we definitely utilize. Podbay, Spotify, Apple,
all the bullshit.